Magandang umaga, Filipinas. Good morning. You're watching Eagle News Mornings from Canada. I'm Thomas I. Likeness, reporting from our Eagle News studio in the Western Canadian province of Alberta. My city is Edmonton, and we're here this morning to bring you news and commentary from across the country. Well, it's Wednesday morning. Hey, we've made it to the middle of the week. Let's have a look at the weather in Metro Manila. AccuWeather forecasting thunder showers in spots throughout the morning, followed by a couple more thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. Should get up to about 30 degrees today with a real feel of 37. I think there's about a 60% chance of precip and drip today. Currently, it's partly cloudy. 26 degrees feels like 31. And a good day if you're going to be out and about because the air quality is excellent. Well, the coffee's on, so grab yourself a second cup, sit back, relax, and let me tell you what's happening in Canada today. First, we'll take a look at the weather across the country. And our street scene today comes from Cypress Mountain, and that's part of North Vancouver. And a big thank you to Jen De Leon for that shot. Across Canada today, we notice mostly above average temperatures. However, where we start on the west coast, they're about average, mostly sunny and 21 today in Victoria, clouds and 20 in Vancouver. But as we cross the Rocky Mountains, head westward eastward, into Alberta, things are heating up. In Edmonton, it's been sunny all day. The temperature 29 degrees right now. Also hot in Calgary, clouds and 28. Over in Saskatchewan, Regina, mainly sunny and 28. Saskatoon, sunshine and 31. Winnipeg, partly cloudy and 24. Now, we get into that central Canadian area of Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa. They're still all in a heat wave. Sunny and 30 degrees in Toronto. Ottawa, partly cloudy and 30. And Montreal, also in that heat wave, sunny and 30 degrees. The Atlantic provinces, pretty much warm. Fredericton, cloudy and 29. Halifax, cloudy and 30. But now we go up to St. John's, Newfoundland, which is about an hour and a half north it's a huge island north of Halifax, about an hour and a half by air. St. John's, Newfoundland, it's cooler, cloudy, and only 15 degrees. And that's a look at the weather from across the country. Here's some of the stories we're following today. Canadian health authorities approve a drug to treat COVID-19. Canada's top doctor telling people thinking about going out for dinner, going to a restaurant, hey, exercise some caution. Ontario's premier has no use for partygoers who disregard public health orders, and you've got to hear his response. And in BC, streets are being reconfigured to allow for social distancing. Well, Canada has joined 5 other countries in granting emergency authorization to use a drug to treat COVID-19. Now, before you jump to conclusions that the pandemic is over, we found the cure, let me explain what's happening here. The drug in question is remdesivir. It's an antiviral medication that's used to help treat Ebola. It can now be used in Canada on a limited basis to treat COVID-19 patients with severe symptoms such as pneumonia. Also, those who are needing extra oxygen to breathe. Some restrictions: patients have to be over the age of 12. They have to weigh at least 40 kilograms. The drug is an intravenous administration. It can only be used in the hospital setting. And that's because patients have to be closely monitored for side effects. And this is how serious it is. This treatment is for severe cases only where doctors figure the benefits from the medication outweigh the risks of side effects. Scientists say the drug is just another tool in their toolbox to help fight COVID-19. They say more research is needed. Well, in most parts of Canada, restaurants and bars have reopened, and that provides an opportunity for COVID-19 to spread. Canada's Chief Public Health Officer, Dr. Theresa Tam, says she's not so sure she'd go out for dinner. She told a news conference she'd want to check things out first, make sure there's proper social distancing. She's very, very cautious. She says since the pandemic began, she seldom goes anywhere. Well, I can relate to that. I'm kind of a hermit these days. And she doubts that's going to change anytime soon. She worries about the upcoming long weekend. In Canada, we've got a long weekend coming up, and, there's going to be lots of outdoor gathering, lots of people getting together. leading into our next couple of stories. First, in my province, it's official. The curve no longer flat. That assessment from Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Dina Hinshaw. Hinshaw reported more than 300 cases over the long weekend with additional deaths.
As we see in the case numbers, the curve is no longer flat in Alberta. We all need to assess our own lives for where we are at risk of spreading or contracting the virus. All of us can make changes to our daily routines to prevent the spread of COVID.
So, we hear the statistics, but after a while, they just become numbers in the background that somebody's reciting. They have no meaning because we've heard them before. We're immune to them. And therein lies the danger, because that leads to the complacency. The good doctor telling us to remember that these numbers, they're describing real people, maybe someone you know or know of.
It's important for us all to remember that these are real people who caught COVID-19 while simply living their lives. They went to gatherings at friends' houses for social connection, funerals to grieve the loss of loved ones, workplaces to support their families, and exercise classes for mental and physical health. There are powerful underpinnings to our actions that lead us to activities that provide benefits to us. People who catch COVID-19 aren't bad people, and at the same time, people who avoid COVID-19 exposure aren't fear-mongering. As much as possible, we need to support each other to meet our needs for human connection, meaningful employment, and access to basic requirements like food and shelter, while at the same time doing our best to also protect each other from the spread of infectious diseases like COVID.
So that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Doc Hinshaw says, avoid becoming complacent.
Whether we are within 2 meters of someone else, too busy to stay home if we are feeling sick, or too polite to suggest we all bring our own food to a gathering. Our individual actions do not affect only ourselves. When we don't take simple, everyday precautions, we let one another down. When we have the mindset that the virus can't touch us, or if it does, all that matters is that we will personally recover, we let one another down.
The responsibility for limiting this virus, well, it falls on all of us. But not everyone's taking that too seriously. In Brampton, Ontario on the weekend, someone thought, hey, it'd be a good idea to throw a party. More than 200 people showed up, and you can bet there was not a lot of social distancing going on. And this is in one of the COVID hotspots in Ontario, one of the areas that still has more restrictions than other parts of the province. Now, this gathering wasn't just one of those house parties that got out of control. According to police, private security had been hired to park cars, valet parking, barriers put up around the yard so people couldn't see inside. Took police about an hour to clear it all out and send everybody home. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, not impressed at all when he heard about it.
The Yahoos again, that number one, hold the party, and then a whole bunch of 200 Yahoos show up to hold the party. Like, guys, what? Like, man, come on. Like, what don't you get? Like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that someone would be reckless and careless and go out and hold this party. It's staggering. Not one, not two, but 3 different parties. If you have the money to pay for security, you have the money for valet parking, you have the money to extend your fence up in the air, guess what? You have a $100,000 fine, and I'd throw everything in the book at you right now.
Anybody who attended that party should be ticketed. He also expressed his disgust about the party goers.
Why don't you go to your grandparents and tell them you were just at a big, huge party, having a great old time, dancing and God knows with no masks, and it's just, it's really unbelievable. It's so disappointing that someone be this reckless, but not once, 3 times, and there's a shooting at the same address I hear. Again, get it together. Like, you're just doing a disservice to all the hardworking people out there.
And anything else do you want to add, Premier Ford?
Never seen anything like it. You think the cheese slipped off the cracker with these people? Like, they just don't get it. Like, come on. We're all in this together.
Police have charged the homeowner. Again, the fine could go as high as $100,000. That's up to a judge. Police charged several other homeowners who also had large parties on the weekend. Well, we'll stay in Ontario. Premier Ford pulled out the government wallet today, gave $4 billion to municipalities in transit. We have details from Eagle News correspondent Raisa Mangilit.
A historic agreement has been reached between Ontario and the federal government that will see $4 billion of funding to support the province's municipalities, including the Greater Toronto Area, along with various transit sectors. Premier Doug Ford explains the importance of having this new funding.
So today, I'm here to announce that we are providing up to $4 billion through the Safe Restart Agreement to Ontario municipalities. Ontario will be there for our municipal partners and our communities. That's $4 billion to ensure Ontario municipalities can keep delivering critical services that people rely on every day. That's $4 billion to support homeless shelters, women's shelters, food banks, public health, and transit.
The funding is a part of the Safe Restart Agreement between Canada's federal and provincial government to help restart the Canadian economy while taking extra health and safety measures into account. Canada's cities have been hit particularly hard, both financially and health-wise, by the COVID-19 pandemic, relying heavily on provincial and federal support. Ontario has 444 municipalities that will benefit from this funding. Minister of Finance Rod Phillips explains this further. Take a look.
This is important because Ontario municipalities have indicated they are dealing with a $4 billion shortfall as a result of COVID-19. More expenses, including on public health and vital personal protective equipment, and decreased revenue caused by many factors, including a global economic downturn and lower transit ridership, have created this significant pressure for communities.
As the province moves towards reopening, the funding will come as a welcome relief for transit systems across the province. Here is Minister of Transportation Caroline Mulroney breaking down the funding for transit.
And that is why half of the funding being announced today will support our critical municipal transit systems. That's funding of up to $2 billion dedicated for transit, $1 billion from the federal government, and a matching $1 billion from our government.
The Toronto Transit System, or TTC, has seen an 86% decline in ridership revenue, according to a TTC report in May due to COVID-19. This, coupled with the TTC adding more buses to routes to avoid overcrowding, has resulted in $92 million of revenue loss. While ridership increases as Toronto slowly reopens, the city's transit system will require all the financial help it can get in order to recover. Transit operators have been essential in keeping communities and individuals moving both before and during the pandemic. As the country continues on its way to reopening, it is clear that municipalities and transit systems will require financial support from all levels of government in order to continue moving people and the economy steadily and safely forward. In Toronto, Raisa Mangilit, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
If you're just joining us, it's 15 minutes past 7 o'clock. You're watching Eagle News Mornings from Canada.
To all our brothers and sisters of the Iglesia ni Cristo, we'd like to greet your happy 106th anniversary. May you have a wonderful, wonderful day today. Okay? Congratulations!
Hi, this is Shane Reyes at ako'y bumabati sa ating mga kapatid na Iglesia ni Cristo ng happy 106th anniversary sa inyong lahat. God bless you po! Mwah!
Hi, this is Imelda Papin. Gusto ko lang batiin kayong lahat ng happy 106th anniversary. Mga kapatid, hello! Love you all!
Po si Vina Morales. Ako po'y bumabati sa ating mga kapatid ng Iglesia ni Cristo ng happy 106th year anniversary. God bless us all and See you soon. Salamat po.
This is Eagle News Mornings from Canada. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. 16 and a half minutes past 7 o'clock. We've got 26 degrees in Metro Manila, a few clouds in the sky. Well, joining us live this morning from Victoria, British Columbia, Eagle News correspondent Jeanette Doiseau. Jeanette, I understand changes are being made to city streets across the province to keep people safe from COVID-19.
Hi, good morning, Tom, and good morning to our viewers. Yes, as we are all aware, COVID-19 has the ability to spread through close contact, and physical distancing has proven to be one of the most effective ways to slow down and reduce the spread. So the impact has been on almost all aspects of our daily life, especially in the urban areas and cities where there are more residents. So BC Center for Disease Control recommends rebalancing streets in busy municipalities to help people affected by challenges in mobility and accessibility. As some people have resorted to walking and cycling when motor vehicle and transit use has decreased significantly in cities around the world. So many cities around the world, including in Canada, have taken immediate emergency actions and installed temporary traffic management strategies and devices such as traffic cones, barriers, paint, and signages to create space for physical distancing. Road spaces were rearranged to create temporary pedestrian lanes, bicycle lanes, and pedestrian waiting areas. According to the COVID-19 Street Rebalancing Guide, leading cities have focused on long-term approaches so that these cities are ready in case of similar predicament and situations like that of COVID-19. These cities are Paris, Berlin, Bogota, Milan, San Francisco, New York, Montreal, and Toronto. I would add that Vancouver and Victoria have done same, although they are not mentioned in this guide. So what's the benefit of rebalancing streets? The BC Center for Disease Control gave a few points, such as space for appropriate physical distancing, prevention of injuries through separation of active road users from motor vehicles, increased physical activity and positive mental well-being, contribute to the economic viability of local businesses, reduce social isolation, and increase community connectedness, and last, improve air quality by reducing emissions from motor vehicles. So some cities in British Columbia, like North Vancouver and Victoria, they use something else as well. They use the tactical urbanism approach, where road spaces are reallocated using combination of temporary and interim treatments to create vibrant and attractive public spaces. Here in Victoria, most of these extra spaces are used by businesses as extensions of their space for their customers to sit in. So they put artificial grass surface, colorful street furnitures, and umbrellas. So also, just to give a quick update on the number of new cases in British Columbia, there are 81 new cases in BC since last reporting on Friday. So with the BC Day long weekend coming up, Dr. Bonnie Henry said we can all enjoy our summer, but make sure to do what we need to do so that COVID-19 will not take that enjoyment away. In Victoria, British Columbia, Jeanette Doiseau, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Tom.
Jeanette, you bring up the long weekend, and I know that's certainly on the minds of people in this province, in Ontario, and I'm sure in BC. Has the provincial government stepped up a campaign to try and get people to, well, as I say, smarten up and keep their distance?
Well, I don't know if you have, I'm not sure if we have covered that. There's an outbreak in Kelowna. So Kelowna is one of the very popular place in
There's a
the
party
interior.
town. Yeah, it's
It's
a
a
party.
party town. That's right. So yeah, the Dr. Bonnie Henry, even when she's upset, she just I've been following her so much that when she's upset, she gives this little laugh like haha like that, but she's upset. Like, she's very calm, but at the same time it's like watch out. Like she had that laugh, that little tiny laugh that she's showing that she's upset.
Just
Very
from your
unusual, but
just from your observations of what's going on, and I know I'm asking you to look into the crystal ball. Do you think people will behave this weekend? That they'll
I don't know. It's August, right? So we're really like at the last leg, very,
second
very
last
like
weekend of the
last
summer.
leg of the summer.
Yep.
So, like I don't know. I don't know. Like for me, we do go outside. We enjoy the nature. We go for walks. But even like yesterday, we went out to a beach, and we are like 10, 20 feet away from the next group. It's just common sense. Just use the common sense.
Well, yeah, but common sense ain't so common, is it?
No, that's so right.
I just had one other question, and this goes back to your report on the reconfiguration of a lot of those streets. Was there much opposition from people to that, or has it gone fairly smoothly?
Actually, I'll speak for here in Victoria. So before this COVID-19 hit, some places have extended their sitting outside. So where sidewalks are, they put their own patios, and they got complaints from people, from people who use the sidewalk. But now I don't hear any of that, just because it's another way. Like either that, restaurants will have very limited sitting inside. So having that extension as a patio will allow more people to be allowed in the restaurant. So, more people wanting to go out. So here we are, businesses are doing what they can. So who will complain, But for sure, this has gone through the local government and the municipalities and all that. And I think the complaining phase is gone at this point.
That's good to hear, and hope everything works out. Thanks for joining us this morning, Jeanette.
Right. Thanks for having me.
Always, don't be a stranger.
Yes, thank you.
It's sports time now, and the countdown is on. And I know somebody in New York City. She's sitting there like a kid the day before her birthday, waiting. I want to blow out the cakes on the candle because it's just 2 more days until the restart of the NBA season, when the king, LeBron James, returns to the court. Joining us now this morning, EBC sports reporter Tenny Sumagi. You'll have a chance to blow out those candles. Just 2 more days, 2 more sleeps.
Yes, 2 more days, and Tom, I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
I love that.
I don't think I'm going to lose control, though. But let's get back to LeBron James, the king, where today he spoke about his mindset plus what the late Kobe Bryant means to him and the Lakers organization.
Obviously, it's a different circumstance. It's different. It's different. I mean, that's for 2020. People have been asking me, like I said, people have been asking me how was the bubble, and I said it's 2020. Everything is different, and you have to be able to adjust to it. So. I don't know as far as if it was like a home game at Staples Center, they won't have that feeling because our fans just give us so much energy. Our fans give us so much support, and we want to try to give that back to them on the floor. But also at the same time, we know our fans back in LA and all over California and over the world are looking forward to seeing us play again. So, it's still our job to go out and perform because they're still supporting us behind their, phones or tablets or TVs or, laptops or whatever the case may be. Kobe's presence, his legacy is here every day. You put on purple and gold, you put on a Laker, apparel. You think about basketball in general, even before I became a Laker. His legacy was cemented. So I had the opportunity to play with him not only in All-Star games, but with the Olympic team multiple times. So It's just a day. If you're a ball player, if you like the game, if you play the game, even if you don't even play the game, you're just a fan. There's no way you can't think about Kobe on a day-to-day basis.
I'm getting a little emotional there as LeBron James talks about the late Kobe Bryant, his great mentor and big brother. Well, LeBron James and the Lakers will restart their season on Thursday against Kawhi Leonard and the LA Clippers. In New York, Tenny Samagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Okay, Tenny, I've got two questions for you, and take your time on this. Number one, who do you want LeBron and the Lakers show to face in the East?
If they make the finals, okay? I have to say, and I'm not saying this because I'm in a Canadian news, I'm surrounded by Canadians here. But...
Full disclosure, we did not pay her to say this.
But I truly believe in We the North. Your defending champions, the Toronto Raptors, will be back to try to defend their NBA title. I just love this team. I love Nick Nurse. I love his coaching better this year than his debut, even though they don't have Kawhi Leonard anymore on this team, but they're still great chemistry, great players in Kyle Lowry, Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Spicy P, you name it, they have it. And I got to root for my boy Serge Ibaka as well. I just love his cooking show where he makes his teammates and friends eat animals, out of nowhere. So yes, I would love to see LeBron take on the defending champions just because it'll just be a classic for both American and Canadian audiences and worldwide as well.
Yeah, that would be quite a show. Okay, second question. If the Lakers don't make the finals...
No, they will.
No. You got to consider the possibility. If they don't make it, who's your second choice out west?
This is a tough one, Tom, because anybody in the West can actually make the finals. I mean, I favor the Lakers just because they have something to prove, and they have to do it for the late Black Mamba. But who else? The world would also love to see Kawhi Leonard take on his old team, the Clippers versus Raptors. I mean, a lot have the Clippers going to the finals over the Lakers. That would be a great matchup. And I've said this in our previous newscast last week, where I love the Denver Nuggets. They're my favorite team in the West outside of Los Angeles. But I'd also like to see a Cinderella story. We haven't seen an 8th seed go to the finals since my beloved New York Knicks went to the finals in 1999. So whoever makes it out in the West as the 8th seed, I'd love them to, upset the Lakers if that's possible. Mainly if it's the Portland Trailblazers. I'm a big fan of Damian Lillard. Dame's got game, and I've got to root for my former Nick Carmelo Anthony. I just love to see him. It's great to see him back in the NBA, and it would be a nice story to see if he makes it to his first NBA Finals.
Thanks, Tenny. 2 days to go. Prepare yourself. And that's our program for today. On behalf of the Canadian News team, I wish you all good health. Take care of others. Take care of yourselves. Stay home, stay safe, stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic and other current affairs. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Stay tuned for Kid Cuento.